Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's Hila here from Saturday Night Stitch, and today's post is an all October timeline because I've actually made something from the Burdastyle October 2018 issue. So I made this lovely pair of trousers using pattern number 102. In the magazine, they're called business trousers, but I'm not wearing them for business and they still work anyway. I think it depends on the fabric. In the magazine, they used a very business style black and gray check fabric, but I actually used 100% wool fabric that I bought earlier this year from Fletcher's Fabrics in Leeds Market. So I'm very happy that I actually used a fabric that I have bought within the last few months, and it has turned out beautifully. Thank you so much to everybody who responded in my Burdastyle browse through video where I showed you the potential 3 fabrics that I wanted to use. And basically most of you saw what I wasn't seeing because you all mostly suggested that I use this green and teal fabric, and it worked out really well. Okay, so I'm going to get into talking about the alterations that I made to the pattern. Obviously, it doesn't have pockets, and I added pockets because pockets are everything. Sometimes I'll sacrifice the pockets, but we gotta have them. The back pocket is not a real one though, it is decorative, and I'm just showing you that they just have a flap going over, but I don't mind. I tend not to use back pockets anyway, and they wouldn't work with a fabric like this, which is 100% wool. Overall, I think that the silhouette works for me. And I was quite surprised by that, to be honest, because I wasn't too sure about that low waistline. But the trousers are very comfortable in themselves, and they pass the trouser test for me. I can do lunges and squats in them. And, if I can do that in a pair of trousers, I am incredibly happy. Sewing it was a lot of fun because I used my vintage sewing machine, which even could do an invisible zipper. So I was very pleased with that because I'm trying to use my vintage sewing machine a little bit more just to increase my skill set when it comes to sewing. So the waistline is not quite at the narrowest point for me. I think they're designed to be slightly lower than what's considered to be the narrowest point of the torso. So I'm just showing you where they hang there. Now, for the inside shorts, I am so incredibly proud of what it looks like on the inside because I thoroughly enjoyed this project. The fabric was such a joy to work with, and I think you can agree and relate with that concept of working with a really beautiful fabric that just makes the entire process less of a task, but just more like it almost felt like a spa retreat for me. But I also put on a bias binding finishing on the facing. I had an emerald green and that worked really well. I also interfaced the seam edges where the invisible zipper was going to go just to give the wool that extra bit of stability. And you can see there I also interfaced the facing itself, and I did some understitching. Again, it was such a pleasure. The way that this fabric takes a stitch is just... it sinks into the fabric so beautifully. I finished everything with an overlocker, and I'm just going to show you quickly how I did the pattern alterations. So the trouser front itself is the one that I had to change. It's got 2 deep pleats there, and you have to sew those first before you sew on your pockets. So I basically went for a slash pocket. So I just had to cut off an angle on the side seam, and then I had to create a hip pocket pattern piece, and that's the pattern piece that you then see on the front of the pocket itself. So you can see where the slash line, where the pocket opening will be, and then I also had to make a pocket lining piece, and you can see there the slash line for where the pocket opening will be. So it's a relatively simple alteration to make. If you'd like me to do a separate tutorial for this, then do let me know in the comments down below, and I'd be happy to try and give that a go if it's not very clear on this video. So you can see there what it actually looks like in the actual fabric itself. So I used a lining which has got this funky two-tone thing going, but it's a greeny style lining, and I thought it suited really well with this fabric. And you can see on there on the front that I tacked the facing to the center front seam just to keep it laid down flat. And again, everything is finished with an overlocker, and I can't tell you how incredibly happy I am with the finish on this pair of trousers. I feel like I really put my heart and soul into making them. And because I also used my vintage sewing machine for the first time ever, using it entirely for a project, and it put in an invisible zipper, my mind is blown by what my vintage sewing machine is capable of. But I'll do another post about that. So I'm showing you the contrast of the lining fabric with the wool fabric and how that just looks so nice. And when I'm slipping my hands into my pocket, it just feels so luxurious. And I'm also proud of how that invisible zipper turned out. So I'm just going to show you a few close-ups of how good the invisible zipper insertion was with a vintage sewing machine. It's a sewing machine from 1967, and I had no idea that I could actually do an invisible zipper. It doesn't have an invisible zipper foot like my Husqvarna has. So I am just blown away, guys, honestly. I don't know, does anybody here use a vintage sewing machine? Let me know in the comments box down below, because I'm seriously falling in love with my vintage sewing machine. Okay, so that's it, guys. I'm just gonna do last few outtakes, but do stay tuned because I have got something to share with you. Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've stayed this long, then oh my gosh, you rock. You are a rock star. I really hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you found it informative and helpful. And if you did, then please do give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe for new sewing related videos every week. But just before I sign off, I wanted to talk to you about something that I'm super excited about, something that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about, ruminating over. And I am basically going to be a judge at FROCKTAILS, which is a social evening that has been arranged by Laura Casey, who is the designer for So Different Sewing Patterns. And in order to celebrate this wonderful inaugural event, which is actually going to be here in the north of England, and that's really awesome, we are going to be doing a little capsule collection for a catwalk, because there's also going to be a catwalk there, and it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to walk down a catwalk. So I was like, it's terrifying, it's scary, but oh my gosh, at the same time, I really, really want to do it, and I'm so excited. So we've partnered up with Fabworks Mill Shop, which is like one of the biggest fabric shopping destinations up north here. And they're going to be providing the fabrics for this like little capsule collection that I'm going to walk down the catwalk using So Different patterns. And I cannot wait to show you. Obviously, I'll show you the collection after the show itself, which is on Saturday, the 3rd of November. And if you're going, then please do say hello. I'm so excited and I can't wait to share it with you. Again, thank you so much for watching. And until I see you next time, happy sewing. Bye.